What I loved about this is the fact that this is an adaptation of your own creation. And so I wanted to know what was the important elements that you wanted to keep in from that one woman play to now we have a TV show that's an expanded, kind of expanded way of the universe.
Mm. For me, Dana, the most important thing was keeping the music. I think I could so easily like have conceived of a world where, I didn't keep the music in and I just purely had the narrative and we would the show would have made sense without the songs. But I just knew that that was really how Sasha had to communicate and how she had to speak to an audience, speak to herself, figure out how she really felt about situations. And I also think we experience things so differently through music that it was so integral for me that I kept that part of it. And nobody tried to like sway me off of having music in the show, but I think it was just about me really explaining and expanding on what my intention was for the music to be in the TV show.
What is also really interesting is that Sasha's lost when we meet her. She ends up with the social media, and that kind of makes her even more lost. It's a facade. So, with that, I wanted to know who deep down is Sasha that always remains, even if she does not show it to herself or to the world.
Mm. I think that Sasha deep down is actually a very vulnerable and sweet girl, actually. Like, I think her whole motivator is to be understood, is to be loved by people. I just think she doesn't feel deserving of it, and so lashes out at people and doesn't really know how to articulate herself or communicate. But deep down, authentically, I think she, is quite lost, but is just wants to kind of be held by people and have space to kind of be who she wants to be and feel like people understand and know her.
There is a scene that I found really interesting when Sasha's making the phone calls when she leaves home, and no one she doesn't get to the point of, hey, can I stay with you, and no one really seems to say, are you okay, because you're not okay. Is that because the friendships are not authentic, or is Sasha not authentic and they can see through that and don't want that?
I think it's more to do with Sasha, to be honest. I think Sasha isn't saying necessarily she needs help. I think it's a really hard thing to admit to people that, like, she's been kicked out and her life isn't going how she wants it to go, and she isn't coming at people with that, with being her authentic self, and I do think people can understand that. And I think she's also burned a lot of bridges over the years. I think almost like people don't want to deal with her. It's like people have reached the end of their tether with her, and she isn't in a space, even with her own mother, where it's like this unconditional love. So she's prepared to help her regardless. It's like Sasha's kind of exhausted the last thread of, like, someone who can help her. So I think Sasha is inauthentic in her ask, but I think across the series she becomes more of her authentic self. She totally discovers like who she is.
Intentional, so that she would get to the point where the only one who can save me is myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Melrose definitely, is the person to help her kind of come to a realization of who she is. But I think where we meet her, it is intentional in the sense that I think a little bit she thinks everybody else is the problem as well, and isn't really prepared to look within. And I think across the series she starts to go, okay, the things she's been like running from and not wanting to look within, that's kind of where she's going to find the real like power.
The importance of the title mood, because that was not what the original play was. Is that
Mhm.
because you're censoring, or was it a different meaning now that it's a TV adaptation?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly love the title Superhoe, like for the play. So I don't think it's a case of censoring. I think it was more, you know, it was how it was posed to me and thinking about a kind of international market, that I think it needed a kind of name that would be readily accessible for all markets kind of worldwide. So I think that's kind of where the notion of like changing the title from Superhoe to Mood, but I still feel like Mood, this show has a life of its own. It's very much the play's narrative, but definitely it's its own sort of standalone thing. And the mood comes from like the genres and sort of the different feeling she has when she's singing different songs. And the word kept coming back to me.
Musical aspect is very visually beautiful. I was wondering, when creating the song and kind of putting together the look of it, are you guided by emotion, or is it purely the definition of what that song means?
I think the emotion, really has to carry the song. Like, what is Sasha thinking and feeling in that particular moment? And like obviously what's happening in the narrative, but I think the song is there to express a feeling rather than just serve as a plot device or something. It's gotta give us something about what's really going on upstairs, essentially.
Lastly, what is Sasha's perfect day after she's gone through these events?
After she's gone, oh my goodness, I would love to say Sasha recording in the music studio with Kobe. I love them as a pairing, and I kind of think, in another world, what could happen with Sasha and Kobe. So I would think, yeah, being in the recording studio, eating some food and just writing a song.
That differ from before she went through these events? The
Yes,
before and
I
after?
think so.
Okay.
I think previously it would be stalking Anton on Instagram, smoking weed, sitting in a dark room, probably.
Different kind of mood. I
Yeah,
like that.
different mood.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. This is a very innovative and unique show. I love it so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Dana. That's so sweet. Thank you.